Commander Zixthor stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Eternal Conquest, his 4 eyes fixed on the blue-green planet rotating slowly on the view screen. Earth, the 3rd planet from an unremarkable yellow star. Intelligence reports classified it as a low-threat world, inhabited by a species that had barely achieved interplanetary travel. The invasion fleet had already conquered 47 systems. This would be the 48th. Begin reconnaissance sweep of the northern continent, Zixthor ordered, his mandibles clicking with anticipation. Focus on population centers and military installations. His tactical officer, a slender Vrix named Kelna, manipulated the holographic interface. Commander, I'm detecting a small settlement in a heavily forested region. Minimal technological signatures. Should we bypass it? No, Zixthor replied. We study them all. Redirect surveillance drone Alpha 7 to that location. I want to understand these creatures before we break them. The drone descended through Earth's atmosphere, its cloaking field rendering it invisible to human detection. It settled among the trees near a wooden structure the humans called a cabin. Through the drone's optical array, the bridge crew observed their first live human specimen. He was alone, a male based on their biological data, with dark hair and a thick beard. He wore simple clothing and carried a primitive projectile weapon over his shoulder. The crew watched as he chopped wood with an axe, each swing demonstrating surprising strength for such a small creature. Humans, according to their files, averaged only 1.7 meters in height and massed barely 70 kilograms. The Kryn warriors who would lead the invasion stood twice as tall and possessed exoskeletons that could deflect plasma fire. Pathetic, muttered Zixthor. How did this species even survive their own evolution? Then everything changed. A massive creature emerged from the forest. The drone's computer identified it as an Ursus arctos horribilis, a grizzly bear. It stood 3 meters tall when it reared up on its hind legs, outweighing the human by more than 300 kilograms. Razor-sharp claws extended from its paws, each one capable of disemboweling prey with a single swipe. The bridge fell silent. Every member of the crew expected the same outcome. The human would flee or die. Those were the only logical responses when faced with a superior predator. Even Kryn warriors would retreat from such a creature. The human did neither. He dropped the axe and raised his rifle, but the bear charged before he could fire. The weapon flew from his hands as a massive paw struck him, sending him sprawling across the ground. The bridge crew leaned forward, fascinated despite themselves. This was merely nature taking its course, a weaker creature being eliminated by a stronger one. But the human stood up. Blood streamed down his face from where the bear's claws had raked his forehead. Any rational being would have accepted defeat. The human's eyes, however, held something the crew had never seen in any species they had conquered. Not fear, not even desperation. It was rage. Pure incandescent fury. The human roared, actually roared at the bear. The sound was primal, echoing through the forest. Then he charged. By the void, Kelna whispered. Is he malfunctioning? The human grabbed a fallen branch thick as his forearm and swung it like a club. The wood shattered against the bear's skull. The bear swiped at him again, tearing through his shirt and leaving bloody furrows across his chest. The human didn't stop. He picked up a rock and hurled it at the bear's face, striking it directly in the eye. For 30 minutes, the crew watched in horrified fascination as human and bear engaged in brutal combat. The human was clearly outmatched. His body was designed for tool use and endurance, not close-quarters combat with apex predators. He should have died within the first minute, but he refused to. Every time the bear knocked him down, he got back up. When the branch broke, he used his fists. When his fists failed, he used his teeth. Blood covered both combatants. The human had to be operating on nothing but adrenaline and sheer willpower. His left arm hung uselessly at his side, clearly broken. His breathing came in ragged gasps. Still, he fought. The bear, for its part, seemed increasingly confused. In its entire existence, it had never encountered prey that fought back with such ferocity. Animals ran or submitted. They didn't grab handfuls of dirt and throw them in predators' eyes. They didn't bite at vulnerable noses while being mauled. Finally, incredibly, the bear had enough. It dropped to all fours, backed away, and disappeared into the forest. The human stood there, swaying on his feet, covered in blood and dirt and torn flesh. Then he laughed, a sound somewhere between triumph and madness. He retrieved his rifle, limped back to his cabin, and began treating his wounds. On the bridge of the Eternal Conquest, no one spoke for a full minute. "Replay that footage," Zixthor finally ordered, his voice hollow. They watched it 3 more times. Each viewing made the implications clearer and more terrifying. "Commander," Kelna said carefully, "that human was unarmed, injured, alone, facing a creature that outmatched him in every physical parameter. And he won through sheer refusal to accept defeat." "I am aware," Zixthor replied. "According to our intelligence, Earth has 8 billion of these creatures. Billions more have existed throughout their history, all descended from survivors who faced similar challenges. Their entire evolution was shaped by refusing to die when logic said they should." Zixthor stared at the planet below. His species had spent millennia conquering others through superior technology and tactics. They had never encountered a species that possessed what humans had, something beyond logic or reason, something that made a fragile, wounded creature attack a monster because surrender was unthinkable. "Pull back the fleet," he ordered quietly. "Commander, you heard me. Full retreat. Mark this system as red level prohibited. Any ship that enters human space is to be destroyed immediately. But our superiors," Zixthor's eyes never left Earth, "will thank us. We've seen 47 species submit when faced with overwhelming force. These humans?" He gestured at the screen where the footage still played. "They don't know how to submit. They would rather die fighting than live conquered. Every single one of them." As the fleet turned away from Earth, Zixthor added one final note to his report. "Recommend permanent quarantine. Humanity is not weak. They are simply waiting for a worthy challenge. We should pray to all our gods that we never become that challenge." The Eternal Conquest vanished into the black, leaving Earth's sky empty of all but stars. In his cabin, the human named Jack Miller finished bandaging his wounds, completely unaware that he had just saved his entire species from invasion, all because he was too stubborn to let a bear win.